After just 2 successful flights, Blue Origin is doing something that even NASA in the 1960s wouldn't have dared. They didn't just announce improvements to their New Glenn rocket, they announced a completely new version that can lift more weight than the legendary Saturn V. Let me tell you why this matters more than you might think. I'm Marcel, and today we're talking about something that could fundamentally change spaceflight. Stay with me until the end, where I'll ask you a question that only you can answer. On November 13th, 2025, less than a month ago, Blue Origin launched their New Glenn rocket for the second time. The goal was to send 2 NASA probes on their way to Mars, a mission called Escapadate. The launch was perfect. The landing of the booster, named Never Tell Me the Odds, was historic. Only the second time this rocket had flown, and the booster landed gently on the drone ship Jacqueline in the Atlantic. In the Apollo era, this would have been unthinkable. After the second flight of a completely new rocket, you would have carefully analyzed the data for months, maybe years. Blue Origin waited exactly 7 days. On November 20th, 1 week after that second flight, CEO Dave Limp published an announcement that left even experienced spaceflight journalists speechless. Blue Origin isn't just building a larger version of their rocket. They're building a rocket that's bigger than the Saturn V, and they're starting the upgrades immediately. Let me explain what's happening here and why it's so remarkable. The current New Glenn, now called the 7x2, has 7 BE-4 engines on the first stage and 2 BE-3U engines on the second stage. It can carry 45 tons to low Earth orbit. The new version, New Glenn 9x4, gets 9 BE-4 engines at the bottom and 4 BE-3U engines on top. The result? 70 tons to LEO. For comparison, the Saturn V managed 140 tons, but that was 56 years ago with throwaway technology, and it cost the equivalent of over $1 billion per launch in today's money. But it gets more interesting. Even the current 7x2 version is getting immediate upgrades. The thrust of the 7 BE-4 engines increases from 3.9 to 4.5 million pounds. That's nearly as much as SpaceX's Falcon Heavy, which consists of 3 Falcon 9 rockets strapped together. The upper stage engines, from 320,000 to 400,000 pounds of thrust. And this isn't future talk. This is coming on the third flight, probably early 2026. I know numbers can be dry, but understand what this means. Blue Origin is making more progress in 1 year than the Space Shuttle program made in a decade. They've launched twice, landed successfully once, and within a week announced that was just the beginning. Let's pause for a moment and put this in context. In 1969, Apollo 11 landed on the moon. Wernher von Braun and his team had created the Saturn V, the masterpiece of a generation. Then nothing. The shuttle was smaller, more cautious, safer, yes, but also more limited. We, the generation that experienced Apollo, had to watch as spaceflight shrank. I've received letters from viewers, some of you who wrote, "Marcel, I thought I would never see rockets like the Saturn V again. I thought that era was over, but here's the truth. That era isn't over, it's just starting again. Only this time, it's not driven by a government that wants to go to the moon to win a war, but by companies that want to stay there permanently." Blue Origin isn't just competing with SpaceX. They're competing for humanity's future in space. The New Glenn 9x4 is designed for mega constellations, for lunar bases, for deep space missions, for what comes after the International Space Station. Now you might be asking yourself, why should I care? I'll never fly on this rocket. And you're right, probably not. But here's what you will see. First, the price of satellite launches will continue to fall. That means better internet, even in rural areas, better weather forecasts, better Earth observation for climate research. Second, the Artemis moon missions become more realistic. Blue Origin is building the Blue Moon Mark 1 lander in parallel, scheduled to launch in 2026. Guess with what? New Glenn. Third, and perhaps most important, we're witnessing a new generation of engineers continuing what Apollo began. Only this time, they're not building for a mission. They're building for a civilization. 70 tons to LEO means we can build entire space stations in just a few flights. We can supply lunar habitats with the equipment they need. We can make Mars missions real. The generation that brought Apollo to the moon is now retiring, but the rockets they're building today are bigger and more powerful than anything we had back then. This isn't a farewell to an era. This is the rebirth of an era. Blue Origin's first booster is now standing at Cape Canaveral being prepared for its next flight. The upgrades are being implemented, the tests are running, and sometime in 2027, if everything goes according to plan, the New Glenn 9x4 will launch for the first time. Bigger than Saturn V, reusable, and ready to take us back to the stars. Now, my question for you, and please leave your answer in the comments. Do you believe that in your lifetime, we will see people living permanently on the moon? I want honest answers, no wishful thinking. What does your experience tell you after witnessing the last 60 years of spaceflight? I'm curious about your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe. Next week, we'll talk about the interstellar comet passing Earth on December 19th, clear skies and safe launches. This is Marcel.